Hey everybody, this is Sloan from Dayglow, and this is a very nice chat with Oscar Lang. Well, Oscar, thanks for hopping on, having a chat.
It's very lovely to be here, my friend.
Yeah, I'm stoked to finally get to talk. I've been loving Antidote to Being Bored.
Thank you, thank
I
you.
wanted to start it off. I don't want this to be too full like interview type thing, but as a
Uh-huh.
fan, I just wanted to let you know,
Well, that's so crazy because I'm a
yeah,
fan too. So it was mad when you hit me up. I was like, "Yo, holy shit! I've been listening to this guy
yeah.
for ages." So that's crazy, man. Thank you.
Yeah, it's sick. It just sounds really good. One of the things, other than just like loving your music, I wanted to see just what it's been like for you, like starting out. Like how did everything start? Because how old are you?
I'm 20 years old.
Okay, cool. I'm
Yeah,
21, so we're like right in the same
yeah.
like
I mean,
relationship with the internet kind of deal.
yeah, that was one of the things when I first found your music. I was like, "Damn, this guy's so similar to me." I feel like we both sort of came into this world where people, as we were coming up and making music, it was the start of people making music in their own rooms and sort of releasing
Yeah.
themselves and being all DIY. I mean, I got into sort of indie music in 2015, 2016, and I
Mhm.
saw like big figureheads like Mac DeMarco and Kevin Parker doing their own thing and like doing it all themselves. And I was like, holy shit, like you can just do it yourself, and like
Yeah.
that can be a thing. And that's what like inspired me to start writing and making music and like all as a project. And then I got very lucky and started working with a girl called B, who's now Biba Doobie, and this
Right.
fucking huge, man.
Yeah, dude, she's blown up.
Yeah, but it's been crazy. Like, especially what's weird as well is that part of like the blowing up, like the whole coffee song that Biba Doobie's like blown up on TikTok.
Yeah.
It's crazy because it's come from such like a youthful point in our life where we were both like 17 and just sat in a room not knowing what the hell we were making. Like you can hear my
Yeah.
brother running down the stairs halfway through it. Like it's just so loose. And something like
Yeah.
that can just go so viral. I mean, it's kind of like a testament to like where we are nowadays, and everybody
Sure.
can do it themselves.
Yeah, I always love thinking about like I don't know, these like major label heads of labels or somebody be like, "Oh, like this angry man or something," seeing that like this song that you made in your bedroom just like blew up. That's just so
Well, I
crazy.
mean, like, yeah, it's kind of like it's amazing to see that you can kind of cut that process out of it. Not that like that process can still be helpful, um, but it's amazing to see that people could just do it entirely themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a really interesting thing that I've been just like trying to figure out lately, and it has to do with our generation just being so overwhelmed with content. Like there's so much noise and
Oh
like
my
so
God, I was
much.
thinking about this the other day. Like my entire life, I've been on Facebook since I was seven or eight
Yeah,
years old. So my
yeah,
entire life is like on Facebook, and you can like look back and see the messages I was sending at like 10 years old. And what's
yeah,
crazy is that our grandkids are going to be able to like watch their grandparents' TikToks and
yeah,
check their Instagram stories. Like, can you imagine if you
man,
saw your grandparents' Instagram story in the 1940s? Like,
yeah,
just be crazy.
yeah. I mean, for better for worse, it's just it's crazy that like, yeah, there's so much of our like 10-year-old selves on the internet.
Oh God,
Um,
I've hidden it. I've hidden most of it away, but
Same,
there's
yeah.
probably still a trace somewhere.
There's this interesting thing going on with bedroom pop, or like the thing that you're saying like you made in your bedroom and you can hear like the stairs running down, that our generation is like looking for mistakes. It's a
Yeah,
really odd thing. We're looking for like human quality on the internet.
I think that it kind of stems from like, I don't know about you, but the way I grew up, I grew up watching YouTube, and I grew up watching
Yeah,
like I didn't watch loads of TV, and I just watched Smosh and all of these like
right.
creators, and like just got into it, and like
Yeah,
now that's all I do as well. I don't ever watch really TV. I like sit down and watch an hour of YouTube a day. And I
yeah. Do you
feel
know
like
Balloon Shop?
no, what's Balloon
Bal-
Shop?
it's kind of like Smosh ish. It's like what I watched when I was like 8.
Oh man, that Smosh like every day. It was like Smosh. You just
Yeah.
bang some Minecraft. It was like all the old YouTubers that I've like forgotten about nowadays. Like there's some British
Yeah.
ones like Alfie Days and Zoella and like those sort of people were just. It was such a weird sort of time period in life where YouTube was actually like not such a professional thing. Not that
Yeah.
there's still like a whole bunch of amateur stuff on YouTube now, which I love to
Yeah.
find that stuff. But
Yeah.
it's definitely stepped up to a different level. But yeah, I feel like because we all grew up with that sort of amateur people making stuff themselves, like it just
Hmm.
makes sense that we kind of want a little bit of like not perfection.
Yeah. I feel like everything changed once people realized YouTube could make you money.
Oh man,
Like
yeah.
any type of social media, like when people realize that like an influencer is a market, like the shift, there was a shift. Because like if you
Totally
look
changed.
back, yeah, if you look back at like Facebook posts, like people still didn't care. Like it was Facebook, but like it was still really cringy. But
Well,
now
like
everybody's,
Facebook's just
yeah,
like a whole different thing nowadays. I
true,
don't
yeah,
even touch it. Like I remember
yeah,
back in the day, it was just so I don't know. You just saw everything like, and everything was so neatly organized, and you could just see what your mates were doing. Now it's just this circus. You go on, you're just
yeah,
getting bombarded with information from
it's
all
crazy.
different sides.
We dove into this. We got into it quick. Yeah, it's interesting, man.
But
Being
I
an
think it's
artist is
interesting
like,
what you were saying, like in terms of like information overload, because I find that like I think especially growing up with all of this, you can spend 2 hours and walk
yeah,
away having learnt nothing and just seeing what a whole bunch of other people did. And I
yeah,
think that's one of the things I've like been trying to sort of back away from social media a little bit more and not spend that much time on it because it's just a
same.
little bit of a waste of time.
Do you feel a sense of like pressure or accountability as an artist now? Like there's Oscar Lang. Wait, is that your real name?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, just making sure. Okay.
yeah.
But like there's Oscar Lang and you're just like a dude. And then there's like Oscar Lang and like you have this responsibility to like keep fans updated and stuff.
Well, I
You
feel
know?
like there's a certain level of like responsibility. I think it comes like two ways. Like, I feel responsible, but then I also I want to like
Right.
interact with my fans because that's just crazy.
Yeah.
I like to go on stage and sort of be try not to be too big of a personality. Like I'm never going to be one of them people that sort of walks on stage and like doesn't say anything and like paces
Yeah.
back and forth or whatever and just is all mysterious. I like to sort of interact because yeah, I feel like that's kind of what I grew up like getting into, and I know you do
Yeah.
the whole thing as well. Like I've seen your live videos; they're very sort of chill and like I think it's because you
Yeah.
probably grew up with like people like Mac DeMarco and going to see like one of his live shows and seeing
Yeah.
like this chill, friendly dude, and that's kind of what I want out of a gig, like to go up and be like,
Yeah.
oh, this guy's like more relatable rather than some
Hmm.
supersonic fucking like big artist name.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, that's awesome. That's really refreshing to hear, and encouraging because I want to feel the same way. But it's a strange because I mean all this has happened really fast for both of us, pretty
Hmm.
much. You know that there's just like
How
this
did you get
new,
into it then?
yeah, making music.
Yeah.
So I'm from like a small town in Texas. It's just like when you think of like Texas on like a reality TV show or something, like with like a football crazed small town, like that's
Yeah,
exactly
yeah,
where I was from.
yeah.
So like no one around me, there was no scene of any sort
Uh-huh.
or like a venue. The nearest venue was an hour away.
Oh my
Um,
God.
so yeah. So like there wasn't really any bands or anything forming around me. So
Yeah.
I really just like had YouTube. And throughout high school, instead of like going to parties or something, I just like made music and got obsessed with Logic.
Hmm.
Um, but
Oh, you
yeah, I
work in
don't know.
Logic too? Hell yeah.
Oh yeah,
It's a struggle to find other Logicers, everyone's fucking
yeah,
doing like Pro Tools and stuff.
yeah,
I'm still here. I just upgraded from GarageBand and it was like, what a day that was when I finally
yeah,
understood Logic.
yeah. It just makes sense.
Yeah.
Pro Tools is just like it's too much.
It's too much. It's too professional that like
Yeah,
Logic's like chill. Like it's like, oh yeah, kick back, man, just make some
yeah,
tunes, vibe out here.
yeah, yeah.
Pro
And
Tools is
like
like, we need to get this take.
sure, yeah. And Logic, like there's no limitations. You can do just as much as Pro Tools,
Oh
but it just
yeah.
makes more sense. At least like getting a demo down or something. My favorite thing is production. Like I love songwriting and mixing. And because I didn't have any like people around me, I kind of had to learn every instrument in order to make music.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, just kind of did that growing up. And Dayglow came out of the idea of wanting to make a project that would eventually be played live with a band. Tame Impala, same situation,
Yeah.
and yeah, just
Have you
made
played?
a
How much have you played live then? Because I know you sort of came up. I remember seeing your video in. Was it 2019? Was when Can I Call You Tonight came out?
it was actually 2018.
Was it at the end of
Um,
2018? I remember seeing it like
yeah,
a while ago, and I was like, "This
yeah.
guy's sick."
Thank you. Thanks, man. Yeah, I just made it with my friend, with a green screen, just
Yeah,
dumb, just
classic,
having
man.
fun.
I mean, that was one of my first music videos as well. It's like when you've not got much budget and you just like it's that low key stuff. Just whack a green
Yeah.
screen and you can do anything with it.
Yeah. I went on like a small tour, opening for a band called Coin. And then I toured in the UK with Hobo Johnson,
No
in December.
way,
Yeah.
Hobo Johnson.
Yeah. Those were exhausting shows. I mean, it
Yeah,
was
the
just like
energy
so high
there.
energy.
You have to match that.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was really fun. But yeah, my first show of last year was like the day that lockdown happened.
We had a similar thing where I've only ever played one headline show, so that was when like an EP I did 2 years ago, Bops Etc. came out. So we played that one headline. That's all we've ever done. Like we did a tour, luckily, because I've always wanted to go on a tour. That's like been a dream, of course.
Yeah.
So we managed to do a tour with like a couple of the other Dirty Hits, like which is my label, a couple of the other Dirty Hit artists, which was good as well because I got to go on tour with like my mate B, and it's crazy like that we're still doing stuff together, like how far we've come just from being two random teenagers that decided to make music in their room. So
yeah,
crazy shit.
that's cool, man.
But yeah, one headline only, and we had a headline tour scheduled for last April, and it's all been gone. And also, like, I knew that I was going to be releasing like Antidote, and this is going to go off live. Like, this is just going to because for ages we've been playing songs like that, but never songs out, and sort of did the bedroom pop stuff. So we would still play that, but then we still had like this indie rock sort of thing, and we whip out like one or two songs in a set, and people were like, "What was that?" Like, oh, it's not on Spotify. Yeah, I guess you just can't hear it. And so when we finally got it recorded, of course, there's a global pandemic to stop us from playing any of them songs. But when we come back, we're just gonna hit it so hard.
Yeah, there's just nothing convenient about a global pandemic. I was actually going to ask you, sort of on the topic of growing up in the internet. I always get really nervous when people are like, who are your influences?
Yeah. Oh my God, me too. Because just my entire childhood is my influence.
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe it.
The strange thing is, like, we're so young and like still figuring out our taste in music, like this is kind of the age where like you kind of establish like early 20s. But growing up, and in the recording of Can I Call You Tonight, I'm 17. And so like my changes of like my taste in music has changed a lot.
Of course.
And it's like strange people watching you grow up and seeing your changes and influence like throughout your discography, because like your new EP is like so different than your older music. And so I was wondering just like what that's like for you, just like putting music out that just changes so much.
Well, I think originally I tried to like separate it, but I had Pig and Oscar Lang, and Oscar Lang was like this. I released this soft EP of like a whole bunch of piano songs, and I wanted to like transfer all the soft songs over to there. So like if people liked Oscar Lang, they could listen to that, and then Pig, they'd have like a fun, energetic time. But then I eventually had to give up the name because someone else was called Pig, and like I just couldn't have it anymore. I knew it was a risky one when I called myself Pig. I was like, there's got to be someone out there that's had that. But and of course there was. So it all merged into one, and now it's like I think since that's happened, I've just sort of like not really cared where it's going. I've just been like, this is the music I make. Like, hopefully people are gonna come back for that. And at the end of the day, it's still like the same songwriting. Like, it's still
Sure.
the same melodies that, you know, you would make. It's just a different style of song. I've got an album coming out in the summer, and that's going to be like a whole mix of everything I've made so far. And it's nice to
Nice.
revisit some of the genres that like I grew up on. For like example, like the bedroom poppy, warbly sounding stuff, like was the
Hmm.
stuff that I was so into from like 17, 16, 18. And then I
Yeah.
moved more into the indie rocky style, and you know, it just moves as it moves, and who knows what I'll be making in 5, 10 years.
Sure. Yeah, dude, I think that's so cool because um, it's it's never happened this way, really. I mean, I guess like the Beatles were really young. There's so many artists that are like literally growing up, and so their discography and also their like labels just work differently now. That you're
Yeah.
watching someone grow up,
Well, it's
and
because
the
there's a
artist
whole
has
other side to it. Like,
yeah,
you know, you didn't have that with the Beatles. You couldn't see the Beatles in the studio on their
yeah,
story doing whatever.
true,
And people still are craving to see that stuff. You know, they got the documentary coming out with all the sort of behind
yeah,
the
stoked for
scenes
that.
stuff. So, like, if it was available then was a thing, I'm sure it would have been. But it's really cool to have all these different sides for an artist now to sort of promote themselves and be a
Yeah,
bigger character.
yeah, yeah. It's just a crazy time.
When you're an artist, you not only have to show how you're growing up in a song, but now you've got this other side as well. Um,
Yeah,
but I think it's cool, like that you'll be able to listen to people and be like, oh, this is where they were at when they're 17, and
exactly. Yeah,
now like look at what they're making. Like it's really cool
yeah,
to sort of hear what you wouldn't hear normally. Like, because I used to drop songs on SoundCloud, just put up like, oh, I don't care if it sounds rough or whatever. Uh,
yeah,
and yeah, I think it's part of that, just being able to see like a whole artist progression and like, wow, they made that when they were 16 and that was properly shit, but like at least they can make bangers now.
yeah, yeah. That's my goal. At least for my music, is like I really want to show as best as I can in every way possible, even down to like the mixing. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's like, oh, like, you know, that was Sloan when he was 16. And
Well,
I
I
can
think you
hear
can
that.
hear
I
it.
can,
Like, I think you can hear it in your music. Like, it's just gotten so much like crispier and nicer sounding, and just sounds so much more, yeah, adult, because we've both like grown up now, and we
yeah,
take you think of music in a different way, especially now that it's like my job and stuff. You just take it more serious. It's
yeah,
still so fucking cool that I get to say it's my job, that I'm a
yeah,
musician.
yeah, dude. I'm always figuring that out too. It's like, I don't know. It's a dangerous thing. I know this in any case, even beyond music, that like if your job is exactly what you love, because I'm definitely like a perfectionist and workaholic where I'm like
Mhm.
always trying to like um make, you know, the best thing that I could make. And especially with music, like it's absolutely cursed because
Yeah,
like everything is work, you know, like when you're being self-expressive, pretty much anything's influencing a future song. You
yeah,
know,
yeah,
like
yeah.
and so it's just this weird balance where learning how to like turn off that side of my brain and like just be a person for a little bit. And I
Yeah,
don't
I
know.
mean, for me, I don't know about you, but I find like making music incredibly therapeutic. And like
Yeah, same.
especially when I'm feeling bad, is when I have this desire and craving to make music.
So you said you had a producer who like has worked with
Yeah.
you directly. Is there anybody else, like I'm assuming you probably have managers of some sort, but like making those creative decisions, or is it pretty insular?
Well, I think it was one of the things that like I allowed myself to open up to, because like you said, I'm a perfectionist when it comes to like my music and want it to sound perfect. So I got to the point where I self-produced everything up until an EP I did called Overthunk. And that one, like in the name, I just
Hmm.
completely was like, all just, it got up in my head about it and I didn't know how to produce it. And I think we recorded most of the songs like 3 or 4 times and just completely restarted because it just didn't feel right. And then
Yeah.
it was like after that where it's like, why am I wanted to be impressive because I've grown up with all these figureheads and people that can make all this music themselves and do
Hmm.
it all themselves. So then I just learned to be like, no, like I need to be open to collaboration. And
Yeah.
I'm quite good at producing the sort of softer stuff and the stuff I did with B back in the day with the sort of acoustic and piano and all that sort of stuff. But when it comes to indie rock, I just had all these ideas but didn't know how to execute it. So when I did my first session with Rich Turvey, who's my producer and like has worked on a band called Blossoms from the UK. I'm not sure if
No, I think so.
Yeah,
Do they have a song about like girlfriend? It's like one of their big songs. I'm forgetting if it's Blossoms. It's like a one word.
Oh,
If it's the same,
they've got one. They've got a song called Charlemagne.
Here, let me look it up. If it's the same, you're saying your producer worked with them?
Yeah.
Because their music sounds really good. If that's the band I'm thinking of. Yes, yeah. Your girlfriend.
Yeah.
Charlemagne. Yeah, this band's sick. It was like having someone like that, like in your sphere, like new. Like, did you grow up with the scene of like artists around you? I guess but
well, it was weird because like there was always this thing where like people would be like, oh, when we're just starting up, I had a few friends that we were all making music, and people were like, oh, there's this sort of, you talk to, I don't know, some random A&R guy, and you'd be like, there's a scene about you guys, like at the minute.
Yeah.
But it was always like, these, like, they're just my mates, and we happened to all sort of run into each other. I met B through like a mutual friend, and, you know, we never thought anything would come of it. It was just like, hey, do you want to like record? And we were both tiny back in the day. And then, I would just meet friends. There's also another guy called Alfie Templeman here in the UK. And like, he's just, Alfie Templeman is insane, man. All those sort of creative figures kind of like, we all saw the same thing in each other, that we all like wanted to make music DIY.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I guess like growing up in London, it's very different to like growing up when it takes an hour to get to a venue. So like there was definitely more, like I went to more gigs and that kind of thing, but I was never like heavily involved in any sort of scene. And I'm never one of them people that will like sort of hang back and try and hang out with an artist or whatever. I'm just, like, get in, get out, and I enjoyed it.
Do you have any other hobbies outside of music?
Oh yeah, I mean, I kind of like, I don't like to talk about it because it makes me sound like such a nerd, but I'm heavily like, I'd love playing virtual reality.
Cool.
I'm fully living in 2020 now, like in the future. Man. Have you seen of like, there's this new headset, the Quest or whatever, that you could just like put on. You don't need any wires. It's sick. So I played out.
I've never done it.
Oh man, like you've got to try it. It's like, I don't know, there's just something about it. It just feels so futuristic to be able to like to game in 3D. It's like a whole different thing. I don't even play like normal games anymore because it's just a different thing being immersed in there. But
do they all have to be like first person, I'm assuming? Like
yeah. Oh no, there's a few actually that are really cool because you view them from third person. So it's kind of like a mini sort of world in front of you, and it's like platformers and stuff you can do. It's cool because I'm kind of obsessed with like ever since I was young, I've always been sort of obsessed with like miniature villages and miniature things. I don't know why they're so cool. And recently, me and my girlfriend have been buying little things to put around the apartment. Like in our toilet, we've got a little miniature version of the toilet on a little thing in the toilet. And we want to get miniature versions of every room dotted about the house. So you go, wait a minute.
That's cool.
I want to also get myself scanned in 3D to be like sat on the toilet. So it's literally me sat on the toilet, a mini figure of me reading newspapers.
That is meta. That could be cool.
I wonder if I can get an even smaller one to then go in that miniature bathroom and just see how far I can take it.
That might be a little much. That'd be cool.
That's when I think the obsession becomes a little too much.
I've actually recently like kind of started gaming a little bit. Because
you're not much of a gamer then?
Not originally, like seriously, like all I would do is like make music. Like I seriously like wouldn't do anything else.
How long have you been making music then for? Like, did you make music before you came out with like Dayglow?
Yeah. So, I mean, like I had a couple SoundCloud things, and like for a while I thought I was gonna want to do like soundtrack, like Hans Zimmer type
I feel like
stuff.
Everyone's had that fucking phase.
Yeah, because I thought like that would be a more realistic career, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I kind of got into like composing stuff, and I had like a little trap phase.
Wow, you
And
went full trap.
yeah, like I'm really into like house music and
Uh-huh.
like electronic stuff. So before Dayglow, I had a project called Kindred, which was kind of like a one-man band um, live performance electronic thing.
Oh, cool.
I only did one show, but
Exclusive.
yeah, I know. It was just like one show with a bunch of friends. But for that one show, I did like so much like mapping and figured out how to like do a lot of electronic stuff and got
Oh,
really
that's
obsessed with
crazy.
that. And so it kind of crosses over into Dayglow pretty often with like
Uh-huh.
analog gear that I've started to get over, the past year or so. And yeah, I don't know. Like I love electronic music and the production side of things. And so a lot of days I'll spend without even like making music. I'm just like looking through Logic and like figuring out like what does what and just like
Oh man,
experimenting.
I wish I
Yeah.
had the motivation to do that. I don't know what
Yeah.
Logic does still. As long as I can
Yeah.
make my little tunes, I'm happy.
Yeah. And there's really pros of having that mindset because like there's days where I just get nothing done. And
But that's it.
I don't
I feel
know.
like I try not to like get too out myself for not getting things done. Like when I just make a little thing, I'm just like try and just tell myself like at least I did that. You know what I mean? Like
True.
it's all gonna come together for something. You know, the one day I experimented, made a weird thing with a whole bunch of harmonies and spliced them all together. Like,
Yeah.
sure, sounds like nothing now, but maybe when I'm making the next album, I can do that same trick. So it all comes from.
Yeah, that's funny you say that. Because I'm learning. I feel like these conversations are going to end up just being like therapy for me because I'm just like figuring out these things. But I am
But
such a
to be fair, I
workaholic.
say this as if I'm some sort of like Zen figure, but I get at
Sure,
myself all the time.
sure.
Like,
But you mentioned Alfie Templeman, and I actually just had a conversation with him, and we were like joking about how we get onto ourselves for like not getting stuff done,
well,
and we're
Alfie's
like,
insane, man. He did it.
yeah,
He did a whole album in a day, so I don't know what he's talking about. He's
I,
made over 1,000 songs. Like,
I
he's
know,
bang.
and we're all so young. Like we're like,
Yeah,
oh, like I didn't get anything done today, and it's like
we got
okay,
365 more, baby.
I know, seriously.
My whole band sort of like went our own ways when the whole pandemic thing like started because we were like,
Hmm.
we're not going to be doing anything for ages, so
Right.
they all went up the country. One went out of the country, stayed with his family. So like to be able
Yeah.
to play music with them is like a blessing. And we had 3 days in the summer last year where we all met up, and my friend has a house in the country and he has a shed with just like a tiny little shed. We all crammed into this tiny shed and just had a sweaty, like
Dude,
just
that's cool.
pure, like just shred. And
That's
it just
awesome.
felt so good. Like to be able to just, especially like in the country as well, you just have the windows open, just feels like you're blasting sound out
Oh
into the
yeah.
ether. It's pure vibe that. But how are you feeling before, like let's say like February last year? Was it like a lot, the big, sort of Can I Call You Tonight going viral? Did you find it hard?
Um, yeah, dude, it's just so strange, especially with Can I Call You Tonight? Because that song has had so many different moments where it's like been viral in like 8 different ways.
Uh-huh.
It's like it's continued to grow. And if I were on tour, it would feel really different. But like these bigger things would happen on like radio or something. And then like all of this is happening while I'm sitting on the same couch,
Yeah.
and I'm
Yeah.
just doing these interviews with like, awesome people. But it's just like, it's just weird. Like it just doesn't translate unless there's people in front of you.
Yeah,
And
you can't
so,
like quantify the change in how
yeah.
many people are listening. I mean, yeah, that's crazy. I mean, how did it like? You say it came in different waves because was it first picked up by YouTube and then was it like
Yeah.
did TikTok pick it up in the second wave?
Yeah. Yeah. It was first like a YouTube thing, just from the YouTube video.
And what was that like?
Um,
Like to see what were the views doing every day? Like sort of watching it grow.
yeah. Yeah. I think like after the first year or something, it had like a couple million views, and I was like, that's insane. Like
Uh-huh.
that's really crazy. And then I started like working with my managers, and then like there's a influencer, Emma Chamberlain, who like reposted it on her story, and then that day it went like it really spiked on like the little Spotify artist thing.
Yeah.
And then Spotify started putting it on like a bunch of people's Discover Weeklies, which is
wow.
actually just like algorithm based. Like no one at Spotify decided to do that. It was just
That's
this weird,
so crazy.
I guess.
It's weird because I'm more impressed when somebody lands a huge Spotify playlist than I am if someone's like on the radio. Like I know in a conventional sense it's more impressive to be like, wow, this is actually playing over like radio waves. But when you see some big Spotify landing thing, you're like, wow, that's just huge.
Yeah. But it's just, I don't know. It's blown my mind. It's just so strange. I feel so blessed, but it's just crazy.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's such an infectious tune. It's impossible. Like, I can imagine if she put on a story, people just, what is that song, man? It's so good.
Thank you.
But I mean, I love all your other stuff as well. Like, it just, I feel like me and you, like you write a very similar type song to me. Like, I'm a big fan of your melodies and stuff like that. I think, yeah, just see it on the same sort of level.
Thank you. Yeah, who are some of your influences? I know I said that's a scary question earlier, but are there any like for sure bands? Like I hear the Beatles,
man.
you know.
That's for sure. I mean, what was weird, like I kind of come at the Beatles from like a second hand sort of thing. There was a big band growing up that my mum used to listen to like in the kitchen, called The Feeling, and they were like a big band in the UK, sort of poppy type thing. But it was like back when pop wasn't just dance music and was like actual like songwritery sort of type songs. And yeah, they are like hugely sort of Beatlesy. But yeah, the Beatles, I've done so many different phases. Like sort of in my childhood, I grew up listening to pop because that was like, I don't know, you just don't know anything else but it, like but pop back then. Obviously, you'd hear like, I think my dad used to sort of listen to like Hall and Oates and Simon and Garfunkel and things like that, and the Beatles, and so I had that element of it. Then my mum was a big fan of sort of 90s sort of groovers in the heart and like like dancey beats like that. And then at like 12, 13, then I started sort of getting into like alternative-y, and by alternative I mean like Coldplay's album where they had like the wings on it, where it just sounds slightly less Coldplay,
right? Yeah, Imagine Dragons.
Like that type thing. And then I had like the obviously going through puberty 14-15-year-old grunge phase, where I just used to go into my room and get like, I had the Nevermind vinyl and just whack it on full blast, like I'm so edgy in teenage. And just so I had that, so there's that little bit of rock influence. I loved the Foo Fighters around that time, and then I got into Kevin Parker and Tame Impala, and then I've just kind of more recently got into like post rock, and like a lot of people have, when listening to my stuff, been like, oh, this sounds like really Oasis-y or like that kind of vibe.
Yeah.
But what's weird about that stuff is that, as I was saying, like I sound like that not because I listen to Oasis, but like because I listened to the Beatles and then also love rock, and like that's how it came together. So it's weird that I've like done the same thing then and sort of been like, oh shit, like that's how we came about it. That's how they got into it. That's where that sound come from. Because I make so much weird different type stuff, like I want to one day sort of just like rent a cabin in like the countryside and just like, you see other people do it, where like people, Conan Moccasin made a record in a hotel room. And I just want to do something like that. I just want to sit there, because I feel like for me, growing up on the internet, I have an addiction to YouTube. Like I can watch a certain amount of YouTube every day. Like I watch, like as I'm going to sleep, it's always like, gotta watch my little half an hour, 45 minutes of YouTube to like get to sleep. So like to be able to switch off from that and just go somewhere and just like literally just take a keyboard and a guitar and be like, the only thing if I'm bored to do is these two, and just force myself to make something weird. I really want to do that one day and just go completely away from whatever I'm making and make something a whole new thing.
Yeah. Oscar, I think you should do it.
I actually said that to my bands the other day, my bandmates, because we've been talking about it for fucking years and saying we're gonna do all this stuff. And I just the other day, I just was so fed up in lockdown. I was like, should we just do it? Should we just actually do it? Like, stop talking about it. Let's get the dates. Let's book it, and we'll just do it.
Yeah,
I think this summer it's going off. It's happening.
Yeah, you've got Antidote to Being Bored, and then your next EP that you do out there can just be called I'm Bored Now. Well, thanks for talking, man. This has been really fun. Yeah,
it's lovely to actually like talk to you and meet you, and
yeah,
it's different than messages.
Yeah, man. Well, I'm ending every episode with a question, and I'm asking everyone the same question. As of now, that this is what it is. But it's just what I'm trying to figure out personally. So I would like to learn from you and just see what you think. But the question is, what does it mean to be an artist? And what do you think like our responsibility is as being them? Because we're just people, but at the same time, we're like artists. So like, what does that even freaking mean?
What a question to finish on. I think being an artist is expressing yourself, and I try not to look into it too deeply, where it's like it has a meaning. You don't ask like a guy that's working on wood why he works on wood and what's the meaning of him working wood. He just loves to work on wood. Sure. And I think the responsibility is to have people relate to you and have people feel things from your music. Like that's all I want. I want people to be able to, like, one of my songs is doing the rounds on TikTok, and it's all about I wrote it because I went to a party and I watched the girl I like from across the room and watched her sort of fall in love with another guy and sort of like have that whole situation. And I think what's nice for both me and the listener is that I can see all these people and they're making TikToks literally just crying because like that situation has happened to them, and this song like relates to them, because sometimes like pain demands to be felt. And like to have a song that can make you feel that and is like a release for that emotion, I think is a great thing. So I think just really positive vibes, man, and just like people like your music, man, and just I think all that is to it is just people like making people feel better. Like that's the best thing to do with music.
Yeah, it's what it's all about.
Well, hell yeah, man.
Yeah, I think I agree with you there, Oscar.
Hell yeah.
Oscar Lang, what a freaking beast. Everyone, I hope you had a great time listening, watching, and I hope you have a very nice rest of your day. Bye-bye.